So look, I am officially challenging you to make your first $1,000 online within the next 30 days. In this video, I'm going to lay out a step-by-step action plan for you. That way, as soon as you're done watching this video, you can get started immediately. Now, since it's probably the first time you and I meet, why should you even listen to me? My name is Fred, and I'm an entrepreneur from a lower middle class background. I went from having only $400 to my name over 5 years ago to making upwards of $1,000 a day with my own consulting business. Now, I'll be honest with you, making your first $1,000 online will probably be your most difficult, and the reason for that is actually because you probably have many limiting beliefs in your mind right now as to whether or not you can actually achieve it. But once you're able to get over the hurdle of getting your first paying customer, it will change everything for you, and making money will only become easier from there. So around 2022, I tried starting my first consulting business. At first, I wanted to offer performance coaching for entrepreneurs because I understood the importance of being disciplined, sleeping right, eating right, and taking care of your health as an entrepreneur, especially if you don't have any employees and you do the work all alone. I'm sure you know lots of business people, unfortunately, they make the mistake of simply focusing on the business, on making more profit, but it's at the detriment of their health. They forget to take care of themselves, and at some point, because they push so hard, they get sick or they burn out. And so now for a few weeks to even a few months, they can't work, and so in the end, they can't grow their business. And for solopreneurs, people who work alone without freelancers or employees or contractors, they have to be even more careful, because if they couldn't do any work for 6 full months because they're burnt out, well, now they're not making money for 6 months. So that's a real issue. And I also targeted entrepreneurs because I knew they would have the money to pay me for my services. But the truth is, back then, I couldn't even get myself to reach out to potential customers because I was afraid of rejection. And at the same time, I was battling with severe anxiety to the point I couldn't even leave the house for months just to go for a walk in the neighborhood. That's how bad it got. So even though I wanted to be successful extremely badly, I was held back by my fears, by my limiting beliefs, and to be honest, I had no clue what the fuck I was doing. And at some point, I just got sick and tired of not moving forward, and so I told myself, you know what, by myself, I can't do it. I just don't know everything. And so I looked for successful mentors, people who could show me the way and give me a proven step-by-step process. And doing that changed my life. I learned so much about sales, about my offer, about how to price my service, etc. And so I decided I was going to do done-for-you lead generation for entrepreneurs. So I would help business owners to book more meetings for their business. Because I figured if I needed to learn how to book meetings for my own business to close customers, then surely plenty of business owners would love to have somebody do that for them as well. And it turns out I was right, because plenty of business owners, they struggle with getting more meetings for their business. And if they did, they would be able to close more deals and to make more money and help more people. And the second thing is that mentor taught me that in order to become successful, I needed to become a different version of myself. So what this meant is that I had to learn to discipline myself. I had to start thinking and behaving like the successful version of myself would, because if I stayed as I was, undisciplined, unable to focus, too scared to just go for a walk outside or to reach out to potential customers, then as you can probably tell, I would have never achieved anything. And so I made a list of all of the things I was afraid to do, and I forced myself to do at least one thing that scared me every single day. So one of the very first things I did was to grab my running shoes and go for a walk outside. I remember just when I left the house, my heart was pounding so fast in my chest, I felt as though I was about to die, because that's how anxious I was at the time. The problem with the brain is that when you go through traumatic events in the past, even though it's in the past, your brain will still interpret the smallest thing as a potential threat to your safety. And so while it's a safety mechanism, which was useful thousands of years ago, when tigers and bears and lions were always trying to eat you, nowadays it's not so useful anymore, because most of the fears that we have, they're simply in our mind. They're limiting beliefs. They're not based on anything which is real and tangible. And then I started to reach out to potential customers, and some people started to book meetings with me. And when I knew I could genuinely help somebody, like a business, to get more appointments, I would pitch them my offer. And I remember the first sales call I closed with a potential customer, it felt insane. I get to the end of the call, the lead was amazing. I knew for a fact I could help them. I tell them a price and they tell me, okay, let's do it. And so I send them a payment link and they buy my service. And I remember my hands were shaking. And then after the call, I immediately went to my parents to show them the notification on my phone. You just received a payment of $1,000, and it felt insane. So what that did for me is prove to my skeptical mind that stuff works. And if I could do it one time, I could do it 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times. There are no limits. And that's why it is crucial that you get your first sale as quickly as possible. Now, why do we want to set the goal to achieve this in 30 days? You have to understand that action takers get the best results. Now, naturally, I'm a massive overthinker and procrastinator because I always want to do things perfectly or to start at the perfect moment. So I had to learn to train myself to stop thinking this way. I had to make myself realize that the perfect moment is just an illusion. It doesn't exist. That's only a lie told by your brain for you to stay in your comfort zone and to stay inactive. But if you do nothing, nothing changes. If you keep doing exactly what you're doing, how could you expect a different outcome? That's literally the definition of insanity. And I get to speak to a lot of people on a weekly basis, people who want to start or grow their businesses. And I can tell you for a fact, the people who keep procrastinating, they can't make a decision, they keep pushing it down even though they know they need to do it. It's really important to them. Guess what happens to these people? They never end up achieving anything. They never end up starting that business that could set them free, and so they never become financially free. Sometimes I have people reach out to me 6 months down the line, and guess what? They're still in the same shitty position. Nothing has changed. So in order to successfully complete the challenge, which is to make your first $1,000 online, to close your first deal or two in the next 30 days, you need a few elements. You need something to sell, someone to sell it to, a way to get customers, a way to sell your offer, so a sales mechanism, and a way to satisfy your customers and give them what they want. Anything else is irrelevant. So let's go into each step in detail. First, you need people to sell something to. You need to figure out what to sell and to who. This is also what we call a niche. It's a group of people who share similar interests and problems, and the goal is to help these people to solve a painful problem that they have. The more painful the problem, the more money you'll be able to charge for it, because you're truly helping somebody to make a profound change. Now, ideally, the niche or the group of people that you would work with is a niche that you are a part of yourself or that you used to be a part of yourself. So to give you an example, me personally, nowadays, I help ambitious individuals to start or grow their businesses because that's literally the story of my life. I wanted to be successful and I had to figure out a way to make it happen. And I'm really passionate about business. So for me, it's perfect. I get to help people to solve that painful problem, which is lack of freedom, not being able to quit their job, and finally obtain financial freedom. But some people, to give you an example, they help others to overcome an addiction. They help others to get in shape. They help others with their mindset, with their productivity. You can do plenty of things. Now let's say you haven't really overcome a problem yourself. Well, instead, you could pitch a niche you have an interest in. Everyone has interests. So grab a piece of paper and a pen and write down a list of all the things that you're interested in. And then ask yourself, what painful problem do all of these people have? And typically, I would advise you go with the niche who's got the most painful problem, because it will be easier to sell. If you're trying to fix a small problem for someone, you won't be able to charge a lot of money for it. Now, what comes after that, once you know what to sell and to who, is crafting your offer. So to give you an example, an offer could be something like, I help entrepreneurs to book an extra 50 meetings per month, or it could also be something like, I help people who struggle with a drinking addiction to overcome it. Now, how do you price your offer? The price of your offer is going to depend on a few factors. First, it's going to depend on who you sell it to. If you sell to 15-year-olds, you won't be able to charge them $3,000 because they don't have the money. However, if you are selling something to people in their 30s, because they have established careers, they can most likely afford to pay you $2,000, $4,000. It depends on what problem you're solving for them, what you're helping them to accomplish. If you can help a business to make an extra $20,000 per month, they will gladly pay you $2,000 per month. Ideally, if you're selling something to businesses, you want to provide at least a 10x return on investment. And typically with a consulting business, you can charge anywhere from $500 up to $5,000. And in reality, some offers sell for $7,000, $10,000. It really depends on what you sell and who you sell it to. Now, how do you find customers? You know what to sell and to who. You've got an offer. How do you go ahead and get customers? There are 3 ways to get customers. You can use paid advertising, but if you're a beginner, I highly suggest you stay away from paid ads because you will need thousands of dollars to test your ads. So if you can't afford to lose $5,000, you probably shouldn't go to paid advertising. And then the other 2 ways you can use to get customers is to directly reach out to potential customers or to make free valuable content on social media to attract your ideal customers to you. Both have their pros and their cons. But if you want people to reply to your messages or to watch your content and to resonate with it, you need to speak about people's pain points and you need to help them, to give them free advice so that they can see, wow, this person really knows what they're talking about, and you want to share your experience. So now that we know what to sell and to who, we have an offer, we know how to get customers, how do we sell to potential customers? What we want to do is to have 30 to 45 minute long meetings with our potential customers. The goal of the call is to diagnose people's problems, to see if you can genuinely help them or not. And then if at the end of the call, with all the data that you've gathered, you can clearly see that you could help them, you want to make them an offer to work with you. So why should we sell on a meeting instead of on a sales page with a button to buy? The reason for that is pretty simple. Unless you're an influencer with millions of followers, you should not try to sell on a sales page with a button to buy. Why? Because it converts only a very small percentage of the people who actually see your page. So typically, if you sell with a sales page and a button to buy, you only convert about 0.5% of the people who see your page. When it comes to a meeting, the average is going to be between 15 to 30% of the people that you speak to that will end up becoming paying customers. sales. So if you get a limited amount of visibility because you're just getting started, it makes sense to use the sales mechanism that converts the most amount of people because you already have a limited amount of visibility. So if you get barely any visibility and you get a 0.5% conversion rate, meaning 0.5% of the people who see your offer actually buy, you're not gonna make any money. And that's why I see lots of people, they try to sell their $50 school communities and they stay broke because they don't have enough visibility and they're not even selling something that people want. Now that you're able to start speaking with potential customers, let's say you do sign a customer, then what do you do next? How do you help them to get exactly what they need and what they want? When you have a consulting business, you can help your customer in 3 different ways. The first is to provide a service that you know how to deliver yourself. Let's say you're very good with thumbnail design or with Photoshop, you could provide that as a service. The other way is to consult people, so to teach them how to do something. So if you're a personal trainer, you can't lose the weight for somebody else. If you help someone to overcome an addiction, you can't do it for them. You have to show them how it's done and to make sure they stay accountable. But what if you've got no service to sell, like you have no skill, no previous experience and nothing to teach at the moment? What should you do? You can do something which is called drop servicing, meaning your job would be to find customers, close deals with customers, and then get a contractor to deliver the services for your customer. That way, you never spend money out of pocket. You only ever pay the contractor after you get a customer, and that allows you to sell any service even if you don't have the experience to do it yourself. Some people think it's not a legitimate business model, but that's what CEOs do all over the world. They hire people to do the work for the customers. The CEO is not the one who's in the trenches every day. The CEO is the one who manages the structure, who makes the right decisions to move the company forward. And if you take a look at businesses like Amazon or Uber, what they all have in common, Airbnb, Booking.com, it's that they're not selling something directly. It's a platform connecting buyers and consumers. Uber doesn't have any cars. They connect drivers looking for work and travelers looking for a ride. That's it. They're the middleman and they keep a part of the profits. When you do drop servicing, it's literally the same thing, except you're selling services. So look, you can keep watching YouTube videos on how to make money online or how to start a profitable business, but doing that won't make you more money. If you're committed to starting your business so you can become financially free and finally get the life that you deserve, I've recorded a free video in which I'm going to share with you everything I did step by step to be able to make upwards of $1,000 a day with my own consulting business. That way, you can literally just copy me. The link will be in the description. Or you can apply to book a free call with me or my team and we'll see if we're a good fit and if we can help you. That being said, if you found this video valuable, share it with a friend and together, let's blow up this YouTube channel to empower ambitious individuals across the globe to become financially free.